Good evening. Welcome to the Diablo 3 podcast. I'm your host, Flux, and we are online at DiabloII.net. I am joined tonight by two of our longtime guests after last week's audition show. First up is Tyr, a.k.a. Pugacorn.
Yeah, I still exist. How about that?
Me too. And also we have NerdWords here.
Hello.
And we have the new guys on the show last week. It was kind of the audition show that actually had content as well, and a couple of them actually wanted to be on this show, but I said, you were just on the last show, so we're going with some guys who haven't been on here for a while, and maybe next week or the week after we'll have some of the new audition guests. We are going to talk about some recent stuff tonight. Obviously, Season 5 ended like a couple days ago, very recently, and I think none of us made a big end-of-season push, but we can all pretend like we did and talk about that for a while. And there's been a ban waves, like 5 ban waves, and we all moved up like 1,000 places on the... I think I actually finished number 2 on the Demon Hunter ladder. I haven't played in a month and a half, but everyone else got banned for botting, oddly enough, so hey, I win. Maybe you had the similar luck you other guys. And also, patch 2.4 is coming up, and not a huge amount of changes, but maybe that's for a good thing or a bad thing. Cosmetic items preview, we've had some other cool stuff, and of course we will get into the final topic will be... Can the last one off the Diablo 3 team please turn off the lights? So, like John Yang is gone, working on WoW, and Don Vu is gone, working on WoW. Leonard Boyarsky's gone to kill Kane again in some other game for no apparent reason by a fucking butterfly. And some other people have left the team as well, and it looks like they're kind of in a hiatus mode, archive mode. And all the new job openings are for like unannounced Diablo project, senior graphic artist, senior concept artist, senior character artist. Which it seems to me like that's probably like Diablo 4, and they're just like working on the basic look of it, and it's a long way away. But I could be wrong.
Who knows?
So yeah, we'll get to that last, so no fear, we will be doing all we can to piss off Blizzard employees and possibly community managers as well, as usual on the podcast.
It's our goal in life.
Remember, the host is N3RDWARDS.
Yes.
And he is the one to blame for all of our mistakes and errors.
Aim all the hate at me.
And you're the one who took away the butt pose from Tracer in Overwatch.
100.
Right?
Yeah, that was actually just me. I just
damn it,
NerdWords. I know.
Why can't we have nice things?
It's because I'm a jerk.
It's all your fault. Okay, so first topic. Season 5 just ended. That was going for a while. We're on our current in-between season hiatus, and the next season's going to start in about 11 days or something.
Yeah.
This is a Sunday. 12 days, I guess. We're recording this on a Sunday night, so it'll be Friday in 2 weeks, basically. And did either of you guys make a big end-of-season push? Were you trying to get GR 95 solo or something, or did you just sit it out? Tyr, why don't you start off?
I failed utterly. I tried to kill my Crusader, and I couldn't. It was sad, because normally you just put the difficulty higher than you've ever gone before, and you go, and then you see if he dies. And in my unfortunate case, I got bored before he died. So... I didn't kill him, so he still exists.
That's very first world problems,
Right?
I'm so good I can't even die on purpose. Man, this sucks.
No, I think I played like 3 GRs on maybe 3 or 4 GRs higher than I had been running, and then I just kind of logged off. So it's been this one's ended with a whimper rather than bang. Which is a bummer. So was your killing power inadequate? You had more toughness than killing power, or what? Well, he was definitely, you're right. He was definitely tougher than he was damage output. So, but that wasn't so much it. I mean, I could have, the last rift that I ran, I did clear with a couple minutes remaining, if I remember right. It's just that I just couldn't summon the interest. And that's a really sad thing to say on a fan cast, but come on, like it's been a long road, and each season I feel like gets a little longer, not because they're making them actually longer in terms of time frame, but just because we've gotten so used to this grind and we know the process that you're already well into your, season journey and all that kind of stuff within the first couple weeks, and at that point it's just a long, slow burn until the end. There's really nothing exciting to see, which is a bummer. But hey, it's a game.
What was your final Paragon?
Paragon? I normally don't push super high. I ended up at, I think, 480 this season, which was fine.
People have like third day of the season, right?
Yeah, I know that.
Like, of course, they're all now banned, but in theory.
Right, yeah. Maybe I was the only one.
I was not banned.
Did you slide in under the radar? Were you doing anything?
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally.
So how was your end of season, Nerdbirds? Did you get Paragon 1000 and GR90?
I did not, and I did not. I cleared GR90 in groups like a long time ago, but like okay, so I went through some pretty intense life changes recently. I've moved like an hour away. I had to get my rig set up, my internet set up, all that stuff. So I was down for a couple weeks, and then I also work for I work for a video game retailer. So there's a lot of games that come out, so I play kind of everything. So I got wrapped up kind of playing like little games here and there and like whatever. And the next thing I know, end of the season's coming. So I'm like, oh, well, I really need to jump back in, and I don't have my rig set up because I was having overheating problems. So ordered a cooling system, got it replaced, got it working, got it good to go. And then I jumped in the last 2 weeks of the season. Was like, okay, I'm going to jump in and grind it out and hit the leaderboards and then just call it. Like, I don't want to go for... Okay, so I leveled a Demon Hunter to do the third conquest, is doing the set dungeons, and then just never did because I just always do that.
Because you're a goddamn wizard, that's why.
Exactly, yeah. And when you make me play another class or play hardcore to get an achievement, apparently I'm still not motivated to do it. So I didn't get my Conqueror whatever the end all be all one is, which makes me really sad because I only missed the third conquest, but I didn't want to do it, honestly. Like, I jumped in, and I tried to do Sprinter, I tried to get a group for it. We tried it like twice, and we didn't get it. I tried to push Greater Rifts, but like you said, with the band waves that came out, like, I had cleared an 80, and I wasn't even on the leaderboards before the band waves hit. And then after the band waves hit, I was in the top 600. So I was like, well, I'm already there. I don't really need to push, and I just didn't feel the drive to do it. Not for any reason. I wasn't really burnt out or anything. I just had so much going on in my real life and stuff that I didn't have time to catch up with the season. I still had, I hit Paragon 840, I think, before the season was over, which was awesome. Definitely the highest I've ever done in this season. So definitely the most I've grinded in the season. But towards the end of the season, I got so busy with real life stuff, I wasn't able to jump in and finish the way I wanted to.
It sucks not being 14 forever, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does. And I mean, I got a promotion too, so it's good things. It's just that real life was taking some more time, but now I've got a little more free time. I'm really excited for the next season.
You just in time to not play for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
plenty of free time now.
Well, it's actually kind of perfect because I can use these 2 weeks to finish up the other little things I was doing and then focus 100% of my attention on the 29th.
Do you guys feel like with the evolution of these seasons that they should be making them shorter as they go?
No,
I know that
not
3
at all.
is already shorter than historically they've been because we've had 4 and 5 month seasons, but I feel like 3 even is starting to feel a little long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it feels long at all. I wish honestly that there would have been another week, because I could have used it, but that's just a special case for me. So it's I like the 3 month seasons. I think it's perfect. I think it's right on. It can feel a little long because we grind so hard at the beginning a lot of the times, but I don't know. I think the length is perfect because if you go too long, I know that longer than 3 months felt awful. I was not a fan of that. So I don't. Right. But at the same time, shorter than that, the 2 month season 2, I was not able to nearly complete what I wanted to because again, just real life. I mean, if I'm able to plan around it, then it's different. But if it's a shorter season, man, I want to be able to get in and play.
Right. I guess the feeling that I had on this last season was that each season, the ramp up gets shorter and shorter. And I mean, I'm not saying that people weren't getting to level 70 in one night and getting geared, in season 1 because it happened. But what I am saying is that the gear ramp up and the setup, where you're okay, well, I'm getting my tabs set up, I'm getting gems, in my inventory that I can use, I'm collecting my legendary gems, I'm going out, the standard stuff you do when you hit level cap. That stuff takes so little time now that I feel like there's a day of the rush, which is always fun, and then there's just a long slog until the end, with really no difference in content. You do push higher, but it's not the content that you're doing isn't any different. You're just doing it on a higher difficulty setting.
Yeah. But that's also the definition of Diablo, so it doesn't really bother me. It's not really bothering me.
Sure. Just I feel like with some of the other older seasons when you started, there's a bit more ramp up time where it's okay, yeah, I'm going to spend the first couple weeks getting really set up and happy with where I'm at, getting all my mats straight and all that kind of stuff. And then it becomes a happy grind where you're just grinding for better loot and trying to push higher, But man, there's no difference now. You plateau instantly and then you just start grinding away.
I don't know. See, like, I finished the season, I still had a couple pieces that weren't ancient. I still had a couple pieces that I didn't have augmented. Like, I definitely didn't feel that way. I definitely, like, if I hadn't had the real-life circumstances happen to me, I would have done a lot more with the season if I'd had time. That's for sure. So, for me, like, it wasn't that at all. I'm still, like, all on board. I just, man, like, real life really kicked the shit out of me the last month.
And of course, they made the changes because fans apparently wanted that. You know,
yeah.
People all said we want a grind, we want a challenge to get to the top, and then eventually it's like instant level 70 button, and everybody wants to get to the end game immediately. And we got Hadrig's gift where you immediately get your first 6-piece set, and you can just jump to like T6, like a second. You're Paragon 2 and you're on T6 now. And it used to be like you had to grind for a few days and try to get to T2 so you could find some set items and stuff. And now it's like, we're just going to give you one for free.
I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the old way.
But you were just saying it's too fast to get to the end game stage now, and now you're like, I like being that.
No, I'm saying I liked it before. I liked when you had a few days
grinding?
of getting ready, and finding new stuff. There was some interest there, before you really just had your full set piece, and even if you were replacing pieces occasionally with better stats, it wasn't a big change.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that the game feels more rewarding when you're actually finding upgrades and looking for stuff, obviously, but at the same time, like, I remember how much fun I had at the beginning of the season and how fast I geared up, how the season's journey was able to give me my Firebird 6-piece as fast as it was, and, like, it was so much fun. So it's hard to, like, I can look back and be like, but I remember how stoked I was. So it's like, I don't know. I really, for me, it was just stupid circumstances.
Well, and with all this stuff, I'm saying this, without qualifying it, that obviously the kind of quality of life stuff is great, and we all wanted it. And I'm not saying that I didn't ask for some of these things too. It's just that sometimes you want to feel like there's a little bit of something different going on, and I enjoyed the way that worked out. I'm still I don't want to sound like I'm down on this game a lot, because really I'm not. Like, I still enjoy the heck out of it, when I log in occasionally and I play, but it's not holding people's interests, I think, on the whole, the way that it used to, and I think that's probably just natural. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a game that they've done a lot of development work on, and over the course of time, people move on to other stuff, or, their priorities shift, so I'm not really concerned about it, but it's just different.
I think your main complaint is that other people are able to level up fast and you're not, or vice versa.
You're right.
I like when I can level up fast, but I like when other people are like level 27, and I'm in Torment 10, doing GR 70s.
Yeah,
sure.
The problem is other people get to level up fast now. They need to change that so only I can level up fast. Will that be in the next patch, perhaps?
Yeah, it's the Flux patch.
It's all for me.
All for Flux.
What would you give Flux, even? I don't know that there's anything you could give him that would make him happy.
Money is a good start.
Money?
Yeah, that might do it. But I think, if you're talking about changes to this game, he's pretty curmudgeonly. I think it'd be tough to find something that would really get his hopes up.
You could just double the damage of all Demon Hunter skills.
The only way to get Flux's hopes up would be to do a hard wipe on his entire worldview.
Yeah, that might do it. What if they just removed all rainbows from the game, and then introduced a new area that was just, the first level from D2? What if that was it?
They'd have to increase sarcasm level.
Right.
Every character. Across the board.
Sarka's gem of chasms.
There you go.
I'm deleting all this, by the way. Yeah, so, did you, and obviously the band waves were kind of a big news here. You just mentioned you went from not unranked to level 600 or something, nerd person. I haven't been playing. I should mention my whole. If we all give our real life excuses why we're too old to play video games anymore, right? Yeah. So I had 1 day off in March. I worked with my full-time job, my part-time job. I had literally 1 day off, and then the last week and a half, I had an out-of-town guest here staying, and it's in that also really nice levels, nice weather. So I've been gardening, and pretty soon I'm old and I'm gonna die. So it's yeah. But I have no time to play lately, and. I guess I would be with NeverDiablo, because I actually have a little bit of time the next few days, and I could have, if the season had 4 days more, I could have actually played some right at the end.
Yeah, I could have for sure,
and at least killed off my hardcore character trying to push too high. I think I got to GR 70 or 71 a month ago when I last played.
Yeah.
So I kind of reached a round number, because numbers visible by 10 are special. or so I've been told. But I would have probably pushed a little higher just to, try to remember what the hell I was doing a month and a half ago when I saw it.
See, that was the other problem I had too. Was it wasn't just like my real life issues. Like when I did finally jump back into the game, honestly, the problem I had too was that like with the Wizard meta and stuff the way it is right now, I came back incredibly confused. And like I jumped in and played a couple rifts and like I cleared like another 79 and I cleared another 80 to get back to where I was. And then I was just like, man, I don't want to like practice my twister placement to like get higher. I just don't care. Like I'm good. I'm on the leaderboards. I'm just gonna cash out now.
And moving up by the day. So were you surprised the ban waves came? I mean, we've been bitching for like the last 50 podcasts how nobody gets banned, and there's all these goddamn bots, and they're Paragon 1600 in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And now Blizzard had like not just one ban wave, but 5 ban waves.
Oh yeah.
And like hundreds of, literally hundreds. I mean, you went up 400, 500, 600 spots on the leaderboard.
Oh yeah.
Leaderboard. And you're only a filthy softcore casual, so it doesn't really count. But still, right?
Yeah.
So is this what you wanted? I mean, you've been wanting this forever, right?
Yes.
And now it's
God,
here?
yeah. No, that's the thing that makes me the most sad was that like I should be like playing every day just to support this right now, and I can't, and I couldn't. So I was super stoked when I saw the ban waves come down. I love some of the YouTube videos and stuff. I had a lot of fun reading about everything and everything that happened. I thought it was a job well done. Finally, I was very excited about it.
It's kind of odd to do it right at the end of the season. It's like it's too late to matter. But, of course, they had to wait until people had time to bot for long enough to build up evidence they were botting, right?
Well, and they also had to do it, in a way that would be impactful. If they did it, a month ago, then they could get right back up there if they were, they did it in a way that punished the people pretty much permanently because it was pretty well impossible for them to get back to where they were or relatively close at all.
Do you think that's the reason why? I mean, I always think that usually when they look at ban waves, they look at them from a marketing and PR standpoint first.
But see, there's no that would require them to be marketing this game, and something we've learned as Diablo fans is that just doesn't fucking happen.
Well, no, that's the thing, though. That this, I would argue, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Correct me if I am. I would argue that this has probably been the most quiet season that they've had. They've had probably more energy around at least the seasons as a whole in prior seasons. So this one's been a little bit more contained. Lots of hoopla at the beginning, as usual, but overall kind of sleepy. So I always feel like they want to pick a spot at a time to do bans, whether it's World of Warcraft or Diablo or any other game, when things are quiet. And I'm not exactly sure what their thinking is behind that, but I think that may have been a motivating factor here too.
I don't know. I think you're right. I mean, they would want to do this stuff when it's quiet, but I was thinking just from in terms of like impact on the season. I mean, if you're going to do a ban wave, that's something that they had said is like, how do you can't just permaban everyone all the time. Like there's going to be evolution. They can always get another key. Like the bots can change so they're undetectable. Like there's a lot of things that can change with it. So doing it right at the end of the season, a week before the season's over, or 2 weeks before the season's over, like allowed it to be impactful. Because if they did it a week into the season or a month into the season, they've still got 2 months to jump back up there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and they obviously probably need to focus their resources and don't want to spend every 3 weeks banning bots. So they just wait till the end of the season, log data, and then do it that way.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe you're right. That seems like that would hold up. The other thing I wonder about is why 5 waves? That's
curious
a really interesting number. I mean, if they had this data, I would think that they'd have the majority of the names in a hat on wave 1. So why wait and split it up?
Yeah, that is interesting. It might mean there was different criteria for different ban waves. I don't know. But it's hard to know.
It's an interesting thought. Sure, they may have just been doing different database searches. I know that their engineers. One of the interesting things that I always think back to when they were talking about some of their engineers is that sometimes when they have a technical problem, especially revolving around in-game cheating, their engineers, specifically their data engineers, the guys who are crunching numbers, these are like people who are super into spreadsheets and know their math, have to come up with a new search mechanic, a new way to find this stuff and parse it out of the existing data. And I guess it's always an arms race for them between, folks who are cheating and then the database engineers who are in the background tracking down and finding a good way to automatically peel out those cheaters and those botters.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can just ban everyone who's played more than 20 hours a day for 2 months.
Honestly, one seems pretty simple, yeah, doesn't it?
There is no simple. There is only Zool.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. I would love to know why, and in fact, maybe that'll be one of the questions that hopefully if I can get out to BlizzCon this year, that would be kind of first in my list of, hey, how come 5 waves?
Well, when you go over to the WoW Legion team and talk to the Diablo 3 developers.
Right? We'll get to that.
Okay, that's coming up later. Yeah, so I guess, we can't complain. We've spent forever saying, hey, they should do some banning, and then they finally do a bunch of banning, and we bitch about the banning, right? So just thus proving we belong on the internet.
Oh, definitely not bitching about the banning. Definitely think it was choice.
And I wasn't, leaderboard watching. I haven't cared for months. It was kind of interesting early on when people are, first pushing the GR100 and stuff. But, that was like, 2 months ago. So since then, it's just been incremental improvements. And, of course, you've been a vocal opponent of this, NerdWords, about how it's like, you're always like, I want to compete on the leaderboards and push it, but there's people that have 800 more Paragon points than me because they're botting, and you just can't, That means they have like 4,000 more main stats, so, you just can't compete with that. But
right. Well, see, the thing...
now you finally got the bans, and you didn't play because you were alone.
Yes,
and you moved,
basically.
et cetera.
Well, basically the idea is that, like, this, though, is... this now puts a certain expectation in place that changes your mindset going into the season. Because honestly, a lot of the reason why I stopped playing was, like, again, real life stuff, but it's hard to feel motivated when, you're Paragon 800 and you're playing like every day all that you possibly can. And you look at the leaderboards and number one's 3,500. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how am I ever going to compete with that, So it was still that feeling. But the fact that the ban waves came down now is like, okay, so going into next season, I won't let that deflate me because I'll expect this. It's now an expectation. So
and you won't get it.
Yeah, well,
yeah, no, you might not, and that's the question.
There's always the possibility, yes, but I feel like here's the thing with the way they did it, with the timing of when they did it. That's what makes me feel like they can and will, because I feel like specifically aimed at actually making an impact on these people who've cheated. Like it actually affected their outcome for the season. And I think it was successful because of that. And they now have seen that it was successful and that we've reacted at least moderately positively. So hopefully, now going in, it won't be deflating to see those people because we'll know, okay, well, there's a really high chance they're going to be... even the Turbo HUD users got banned. Like, people that weren't using bots and just using Turbo HUD still got banned. So that's... I know that's controversial, but that's still exciting because it means that they're still looking. They care enough, Sure. It is frustrating to see, like, some of the team go, especially some of the guys who've, like, put a lot of really great work into the game. But, I guess we'll kind of see where it's going. I just know that the next season, that deflating factor from botters won't affect me nearly as much because this is now an expectation.
Well, that's an interesting thing, too, because your outlook on that seems to be very different from mine in a way that I wouldn't have expected. And that's that I feel like this needs to be something that's an effective countermeasure at the start of a season. Not right at the beginning when everyone's just starting out, but early on, 3 weeks in, when I look at the leaderboards, I want to be able to look at that leaderboard and say, like, yeah, I'm on track. Like, I'm in a good place. Like, if I want to make top 100 or something, and if I really keep at it, then, looking at where I'm at right now, I might be able to do that. And maybe this is just psychological for me, but I have this issue where part of the worst part of the botting to me is that it's so demoralizing to start with,
Yeah.
And if they're doing the botting late into the season, your logic holds up. It does effectively eliminate the problem because you essentially correct the leaderboards to where they should be based on, people's actual input and time and merit. The only issue with that is that there's this weird negative psychological impact throughout the entire season as you're seeing everyone bot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get this nice, like, oh, well, we fixed it. But I don't know that that's the right approach from a gaming company standpoint. And again, this could just be me, but it feels like I really wish they could correct this problem early and consistently, rather than, okay, well, here's our moment to strike, all the bots are gone.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? I think
I agree. No, you're not wrong, because, now that I'll have this expectation doesn't mean that everybody will, and doesn't mean that, the average, your average casual doesn't go on the forums, doesn't listen to podcasts like Diablo player. He may not even know about the ban waves. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's only as impactful as they make it, and they're not going to ever have a really big PR campaign about their anti-botting. Like, they're going to post a thing about it, when the community bands together and really wants something done, they're going to address it. But I think this, at least for a lot of us that do play this game a lot and that are really focused on the community and that aspect of it, that it kind of lets us kind of put it out in the universe that, like, hey, man, like, at least we have this expectation now. Now, mind you, again, like Flux said, it's an expectation. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, then that would be a big bummer. And then there's also what you said too. Maybe now they've seen the interaction. Maybe they'll try banning earlier in the season and more consistently throughout. Maybe they'll hit them early and late. Maybe that was
what I was going to say. Is that it could break well or it could break poorly. It really all depends on what they decide to do. It could turn out that things are better than what you expect. If what you expect is that they do this at a certain point every season. It could mean, we don't know that that's going to be the case. They might not do it, and that would be bad. Mm-hmm. Or they might even do it consistently now that they have kind of a beat on how to effectively ban folks who have been cheating, breaking the terms of service. So
right.
So it could go either way. It could be better than expectations, could be worse than expectations. We really don't know.
Yeah, well, exactly, and I think it's a good step. I think it needed to happen a while ago, but I'm glad it's happened, and that's what matters.
It certainly does not hurt. I agree.
Yeah, mm-hmm. and it would be, but I agree with you. It would be better if they were able to do it earlier in the season and later. But what it's going to come down to is manpower. It's going to come down to whether or not how much resources can they devote to just bans before it becomes kind of a fruitless cause.
Well, hopefully they let the janitor know, before leave the team, how they're running that software to get the boss out of there.
The word I have not heard from either of you thus far is deterrent. And in theory, the reason you ban people is so that other people won't cheat in the future. That's like why we put people in jail for breaking laws today, so they won't break laws in the future. Mm-hmm. Do either of you think that will make any difference? If people think they're going to get banned and lose their account?
Yes.
You're making it sound like nerdwords, like the second they get banned, they just buy a new copy of the game and dive back in there.
No, they can, right? They can, and that's because the bans were so limited before. But with them and mind you, there might still be some that do, but with there being 5 ban waves that come days apart from each other, that's a pretty, that's ethnic cleansing level.
Man, I just thought of this. How savage would it be if that was the reason for the 5 waves? They ban one group, they let people go and buy another copy, then they ban them again.
Yeah.
Crush them like that.
The criteria is really what would be interesting to see it on that, which obviously we'll never know, and that's fine. But no, and I do think it actually is a deterrent because a lot of these big time streamers that develop or spend a lot of their time in this game and streaming it and playing it and stuff like that. I know there's a few of them that aren't anymore because of these bans, and I know that I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that.
I will agree with you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and I think that Blizzard is too, and I think that that's a good thing.
Sure, I will agree with you with the caveat that deterrent is again something that you do to a person psychologically, but a major component of how strong a deterrent is your consistency. So they have to keep this up, or it functions as a deterrent not at all. And I would say in general that the internet is a grand history of people ignoring deterrents. They don't care about cheating and pirating music. They don't care about, whole industries have morphed into other industries because of people online's willingness to stubbornly refuse to accept authority. So we'll see how it happens, but they're only going to be able to make this stick if they're very, very stubborn about being consistent.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think that you nailed it. It's not a deterrent unless it's an expectation. If the expectation is not put in everyone's head that this is going to happen, then there's no way it's a deterrent.
Yeah, this may have been a good start, but we'll see if they keep it up. So I think right now people are probably just biding their time for a couple weeks, and if, or months, if things don't seem to be going the direction of Blizzard is keeping an eye on this, then they'll just buy another account and they'll go.
What do you suppose people benefit from I mean, I guess for me the point is like it's fun to play the game because it's fun to play the game, and some people it's fun to play the game because you can cheat a whole bunch and then be really good at the game without actually playing the game.
Yeah.
And I guess that's I'm like, why would you care if you don't enjoy playing the game? I mean, what if they put like a hard cap on hours played? Like you can only play this game like like they do with like World of Warcraft and stuff, right? Where over a certain amount of time, like your experience starts to you gain less value over time. And then you get those like catch-up bonuses where you get like double experience the first 2 hours you play in a new day or whatever.
Nope, you've completed your Greater Rift raid lockout for this week. You gotta come back next week.
Oh.
I mean, just they could make changes in the game that would disincentivize botting. Say if you over 6 hours a day, your experience drops 50%. Over 10 hours, it drops to like 2%. I guess they would still just bot to get items or something, but
they also be de-incentivizing playing at the same time, and they don't want to do that.
Right.
But what percent of people? Okay, it's probably a bad question. Outside the first week of the season, what percent of people are playing more than like 8 hours a day? I mean, actually playing, not just botting.
Well, the thing is that we're not. It's tough to have this conversation because we don't understand the mind of the botter. We really need like a personality profiler to come in here and tell us.
I mean,
what
is it
about,
really that hard to understand? Like, I mean, I get it. Like, they get more. I mean, it's just more return for the same thing we're doing. Like, it's an edge, an advantage. I know it's not an actual competition, but I mean, if you're a fan of the grind and you're a fan of it's the same thing with any game that gets a bug or an exploit or a glitch or something that can be exploited by the community. It's not necessarily that they have to cheat or want to cheat to win. It's just that it's an advantage that, to their knowledge in that moment, is not going to hurt them at all.
Right.
When it starts hurting them, that becomes a different story.
The important thing that I'd point out, and this is really interesting to me, is that botters, you have to have some dedication and some interest in the game to be interested in botting. Because there's no reason to bot if you just picked the game up at Walmart because you thought it looked fun and you played it a little bit. You have to be engaged in the leaderboards. And that's a weird thing when you think about it, because it's like, okay, well, I really want to be on these leaderboards, which means I'm going to turn my computer on at 8 a.m. and it's just going to run 24/7. So that's, and we could talk about what their motivations are all day. I think you're probably right that it's something simple. It's just, I really want to win at this leaderboard thing. But it's interesting to me that Blizzard's worst players are also some of their most engaged players. Because they care about the leaderboards and they want to be, up there. They want to be successful. So they're just strange people.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed.
Well, best segue ever.
Right.
Indeed. Doesn't one of the WoW things say that? For a while, people were always saying "indeed" on my instant messaging like 3 or 4 years ago.
I think
it became a thing.
I think you might be right. It's like an elf thing. I'm gonna get like 1,000,000 angry emails, by which I mean you're gonna get 1,000,000 angry emails.
WoW fans are used to being kicked around. We made fun of the WoW movie trailer for like 10 minutes last week, and no one gave a shit. So, did that come out yet, by the way?
No, it's not out yet.
Yeah. I did post a comment in the YouTube thread, like how come like there's some of the orcs or some of them are green and some of them are like flesh toned. Like he was like indignant that I didn't know this crucial piece of lore detail.
And the lore, Flux. There
is
orcs
an actual
who drink
reason.
the blood of Manoroth become
they
green.
drink some. There's some like magic potion or something apparently. So that's I'm just really telling. I know
blood of a demon, bro.
Magic potion. Okay, next topic. So, just briefly, BlizzCon. They announced the BlizzCon date, and it's like 2 days different than last year. It's in, early November, like November 4th and 5th or something?
Something like that.
And we're all making jokes because the tickets go on sale on 4/20. Either of you planning on going to BlizzCon this year?
Yeah, provided work doesn't suck a big old bag of dicks again.
You get paid overtime for that, though, right?
No.
No? To bring your own squeegee?
No.
Yeah. Timing on the ticket sales is pretty rough for me this year. I don't know if I'm going to be able to snap one up. I know that they usually do like a second round, so I'll wait for that and see if that happens. But
it's the 23rd. It's Saturday like always, Wednesday and Saturday.
Do they? Sometimes they do like a whole second sell though, right? Like a few weeks later. I might
not typically.
You can find that at ebay.com. And they're usually about $800 a piece, so yes, you can find
or
them
just
right there.
there's so many people in the community that buy 4 at a time and just sell the other tickets. Just hit up some people online. Twitter is useful for that, for sure.
Or just start like a what's that other game? Overwatch, or the other one with the cards and stuff? Hearthstone.
Sure.
They do one of those games. They give them like BlizzCon tickets left and right, so that you'd be sure to get there. Could invite you.
Man, I can't wait to play Overstone.
And all you trade is the best years of your life.
Overstone on 420.
I watched a video of that earlier. Like they were fighting on rooftops and stuff. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, they do a great job with those cinematics. They're really cool.
Mm-hmm. Really excited about that game. Can't wait. They shoot stuff.
It really, it shows in your voice.
So what do you guys think about patch 2.4? I mean, there's a lot less. We're not getting any whole new set items, any set, item sets or set items for that matter. Just a few legendaries. We talked about new legendary gems a few weeks ago on the podcast, and there's some big build changes. But obviously, a lot less new gear and new. I don't think there's any real new build changes in this one.
Oh,
I'm sure someone will find something with the Rings of Nightmare and like some new legendary probably do something or other, but
no,
compared to past patches, a lot less, right?
No, not at all. Like the entire Wizard meta is shaking up. I mean, from what I can tell, like
nobody plays Wizards 9-ball. Come on.
Oh, what 9-ball? Wow.
Isn't that who you are?
Wow. Oh man, I feel like you're my mom and you just yelled the dog's name before me. That's rude. But no, the whatchamacallit, I know that the Wizard meta is shaking up a lot, and I know that basically, the builds from this patch are still going to be like top or close to the top, but they've actually buffed other sets to try to get there too. Now, I don't know about every class, but I know the Wizard meta is shaking up quite a bit.
Isn't that mostly because they just fixed the exploit where you can just stand in the center of the worm and shoot endless energy twisters while everybody else does the work?
Well, no, it's because they nerfed the one thing we had that was going for us this patch. The next patch. You want to hear something really funny? So you know how they made the Veer set, which is an Archon set, right?
No one likes Archon.
Based around Archon, right? Well, the next patch, the best build is Firebird's set running Archon.
That sounds like a build you will never play.
Probably, but the 4-person meta right now is Firebird's Archon Wizard and 3 support, just like usual.
So the exact same as this season. Great.
I think it's slightly different though, with all
one different item. Awesome.
Well, all the gems. I mean, there's a lot changing with the gems and stuff too, which is actually affecting things pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
intensely.
just the major change to Taeguk may affect a lot of builds.
A lot of builds. Yeah, I think Gogok is actually pretty interesting now. The new Bane of the Powerful is pretty interesting now.
Yeah, I mean, there's some changes, but I kind of feel like this patch looks like a snooze fest. Now,
I'm hoping there's
a
reason for that.
Right. I think the reason for that is that they're happy with where things are.
The reason for that is everybody on the goddamn team is working on WoW Legion now.
Yeah, well,
Legion's about to come out. I really don't think that the guys that left the Diablo team went to work on Legion. I believe they're working on the next thing.
Well, whatever, but I mean, they're not. The reason, everybody was making all the item stuff is no longer working on Diablo 3, so that certainly has an effect. I guess they could hire somebody to do item stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. There's a change there for sure, but we'll get into that later. But no, just the idea that they may just be pleased with where the meta is at, which is kind of a weird thing. I'm not exactly sure that this is where I would have stopped developing, but I mean, they can do what they want,
YOLO.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a topic on, a podcast a few weeks ago. We talked about all the new legendary gems like a month ago. So, I mean, I'm kind of skipping that because we've done it in the past. But they haven't, they've been obviously tweaking the values and stuff. But obviously Taeguk being gone and many more other gems getting defensive bonuses now to kind of make up for what Taeguk used to do. But, I mean, just compared to previous seasons, we had a whole debate a couple podcasts ago about should we have a 5th item set, and I was kind of of the opinion that that would be too many, like it'd be too much item finding. We're all out of stash space already, and other guests were like, no, they could always add more, and I don't think that was just the case that Blizzard couldn't think of any new item sets. They just probably, like you were just saying, they think the meta is basically okay now, and they're
do they really want to add a whole another set for each class and thicken the pool more?
Well, they didn't, so I'm guessing that's a no.
Yeah.
Right? I would argue that the tenor of these notes, show that they just are happy with where things are at, because that's what Blizzard does constantly. They build something brand new and then they iterate, and when they're iterating over and over, then you can tell they're pretty happy with where things are, or they're not sure what to change. If they're going to need to make a major change. But I would argue, they're pretty happy.
Are you happy?
No, not really. No, I mean, I want more stuff. Listen, I'm a player. Give me the things. Feed it down my game gullet like I want it, but I constantly want it. But that's not a reasonable expectation in reality. You have to understand that at some point this game becomes an archival game, becomes a game that they tweak and tinker on, but not one that they're actively developing new content for, and that's okay.
I don't think that's okay. I think that's a bad thing.
Well, D2 says hello.
And they could certainly make changes that were subtle and yet more impactful than adding some new item set that wasn't actually as good as current sets. I mean, it's easy just to throw out a fifth item set and some new build, and maybe it's not as good, or maybe it's not as fun, or not as balanced.
I would argue that these are
as opposed to these subtler changes to I mean, if every obviously Tegu wasn't the most popular gym in the game, but if you made a minor change to every legendary gym that caused everybody to switch their gyms around, that would actually make a big difference in gameplay, right?
Sure. I think really what we, and this is an old refrain, but really what we want right now is mutators. Give me a season with no healing, whatever. Just something different.
They don't seem to be interested in those kind of minor. We've been asking for like miniature seasons and short rushes, and
Well, it's funny because they
no
talked
repair
about it
seasons
themselves.
and stuff.
They kicked that idea out into the public, and it never happened.
Why not?
That's a good question. I mean,
probably because it takes more development time for a game that's out of its development cycle. I think that's the big thing with all of this stuff, is that we're out of that cycle now, and they're obviously looking towards the next phase with what they're doing. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to have an intelligent conversation about whether or not those are a good use of development time, because we're not developers and we don't know the time frames. It sounds like a simple thing to disable a mechanic or to introduce a time mechanic or something like that to a game, but that may not be the case. I mean, listen, I can write HTML, but I don't know what wizardry they're working on over there, So it may be that introducing something that we would consider simple, like, hey, just make globes help,
like commas in the auction house.
Maybe something completely crazy difficult to do. I don't know.
Yeah, as always, remember when it took them a year and a half to put commas in the auction house? Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes things are harder than apparently. So if you had a magic wand, guys, and you could affect how the game's development was occurring, would you want them to have like a new item set for every class every season, like multiple new builds?
God, no.
Or would you rather have fine-tuning of current builds?
I think that what they're doing with this patch, as underwhelming as it feels, is still a really good thing, because, again, what you said, it feels like the game's in a good spot. So, I think that this patch, they take it easy. They hit legendary gems and kind of some side items, buff the other sets to get them up. Because what do we want, right? We want competing sets. We don't want a game where, Firebird's Archon is the only wizard build that can clear a 90. You want, the all four sets, ideally, to be up there, too. So rather than adding a new set, they're working on getting all the sets to the same level, or at least moderately. And I think that that's good. I think that that's where the game needs to be. And then next patch, they can see how this goes, see how the legendary gems kind of tweak the meta and do what they do. And then next patch, if they want to add a new set or whatever, they can. But I think that adding a new set to the game would be great, but they need to do that, at a different time, I think. And it would also just make the pool so much bigger, so I'm not in a big hurry to get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree that in general they should be in fine-tuning mode now if they're not going to be developing something brand new. And I also don't think they need something else brand new because, this is an exponential system. The more you introduce, the bigger and more bloated and more difficult to control it becomes. And at the end of the day, a game developer needs control over the game that they're developing, or it gets bad. It becomes bad. But one thing that I'll point out, and this is from long experience playing World of Warcraft, is that I don't think a lot of people haven't come to the realization that iteration on existing gameplay can become such a long tail end that it is essentially infinite. I mean, with World of Warcraft in specific, you've had the same, and they're shaking things up a little bit, this expansion, but you've had the same three specializations for each class, essentially, since Wrath, Burning Crusade, further back, and it becomes a point where if you change a number over here, on say a Frost Wizard, then something else has to be changed on Fire. So you make a few passes at it and you see how it works, but then with the new set of paradigms, being that game design is impossible to get perfect, you will inevitably want to make changes again. And once you've made those changes, they will illuminate some other problem or area that you could improve upon, and then you'll make changes to that, and it literally goes forever in a way that, and this is the key thing, is not necessarily uninteresting to players. It may be that players really kind of like that. And there are times when they want a thing from the past that was disabled or taken away or changed, but that doesn't mean that they don't like the system as it is. I think there's a lot of fun to be had in just watching people continually strive to improve balance and statistics, because you inevitably end up someplace completely different from where you started.
I don't know. It's hard to... The game in the development cycle it's in right now is just in a really interesting spot. They're at a crossroads, and we have to see kind of where it's going to go. Like, I want a book announcement. I want an expansion announcement. I want a new game announcement. I want something like that. But until then, with them working on the game the way they are and tweaking the way that it is, it seems underwhelming. But I think it's the smart step for the game. And I don't know. I'm kind of waiting and seeing right now, I guess.
Right. So here's a question. Gamescom is usually around what time? I'm actually looking this up at the moment.
It's usually late summer, right?
It's like August something, mid-August.
So let's see. I will find this out. Basically, what I'm wondering is, if we're in the calm before the storm, if we may be getting at least some content announcement at Gamescom. So let's see here. Looks like August 18th through the 21st is what I'm seeing. So
yes. That's something that will not be announcing in the Diablo game at that event.
No, but again, there may be something that hints at other stuff. Just like Nerdbird said, you might get a book announcement or something like that. So
that's the thing is, I don't need them to say, "Hey, we're making a new game right now." That's fine. I want that for sure, but to keep the community or to keep me engaged, I just need another thing. I need another story. I need something fleshing out the universe. I need something. And if the patch isn't going to be it, that's fine. But something else on the horizon would be cool. But I also know from being a Diablo fan for literally my entire life that this is kind of how it goes. So I'm kind of waiting with bated breath to see what the next step is, or if we're going to have to wait, an extended amount of time before we hear anything.
No,
I would bet on the latter.
The funny thing is,
we're cynical because of our prior experiences. I'm hoping for a change.
Yeah, honestly, the funny thing is, and maybe I'm unique in this, but I enjoyed just how long it was. Well, let me rephrase that. Even though it was an incredibly long stretch between Diablo 3's announcement and its actual release, I really enjoyed that whole time. I mean, I remember looking at...
Okay, so when did you hear that Diablo 3 was coming out? Because it was announced a decade before it actually came out.
Yeah, I mean, I recall watching content about D3 in, I think it was 2007. It would have been 2007 or 2008. Actually, I think it was 2008 because the Olympics were going on. And I remember the job I was at. And I built a computer that summer that did not actually get to play Diablo 3 until I think 6 months before it finally broke down, 4 or 5 years later.
Wow.
I literally
Just
set it up. Yeah, I set it up on Newegg as Diablo 3 PC because I saw that they were starting to talk about Diablo 3, and I was like, I am going to be ready for this game. And I built the thing, and I purchased it and put it together, and then it was years. Literally, it was the end of that thing's life cycle before it actually was released. But I enjoyed it for some reason. I didn't mind. I was just, pleasantly in anticipation the whole time. Am I broken?
Yes.
I bet you played some awesome Diablo 2 in the meantime, though. You had really good
frame
rate on D2.
I was about to say, because I only played World of Warcraft waiting for Diablo 3 to come out. There's a lot There's a lot of missed opportunities in the time between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, so it's hard for me to look back with that with any sort of positivity whatsoever, and I'm really hoping that that's not the kind of drought we're getting.
Well, let's hope not. But I mean, I think we could all probably agree that we'd rather hear something than nothing.
Yes, anything than nothing.
Unless you're listening down your stairs at night in the house and it's dark and you're alone. In that case, you'd much rather hear nothing than something.
Yes,
yeah,
very true.
Bedroads in your
And Flux, always there to bring it right back around.
Exactly. Non sequitur is my job.
There you go.
So one of the things that we're getting a lot of in patch 2.4 is, other than not new items, is cosmetic stuff. There's like Kent has rainbow, and there's all kinds of new like capes and suits and like bone sticks and like cat harnesses and stuff you can buy. I mean, some part of that might have been an April Fool's joke, but I'm not sure which. Are you guys excited about all the new transmogs and cosmogs and mystic mogs and whatever they're called?
I am, yes. And I'm excited about them not because I think they're going to be game-changing or the most amazing thing ever, but this has needed to happen for a while. Random world drops that happen off of random mobs or different mobs, just little cosmetic things you can get from these. I think that that's really cool because, again, it's another reason to go out into the world and flesh it out and play. Like, another reason to play bounties, but another reason to go out and just do other things besides just grind rifts. Like, that's what they need. They need to bring all the sets up and to give us more things to do, and this is kind of one of those. Now, mind you, once you get them, you don't need to go back out and get them again, but it's something else to hunt. It's like going and finding Kanai's Cube. That's still fun. I think it's cool. Like, it's not something you do more than once, but it's still, I'm glad it's there, you know?
Is it important to you that your purse matches your shoes?
Yes, it is. Actually, incredibly
Okay,
important that my transmog is on point.
Do
Do you have a transmog opinion, other person?
Oh, give them to me. Put them in my face. Give me all of it. I need all of it. I want all of it right now. This is an interesting thing, actually. I feel like one of the things that Diablo has lost a little bit over time is rarity. There are still some rare items. I mean, you still don't see a lot of furnaces or, star metal kukris or that kind of thing. Depending on how lucky you are in a season. But here's the difference. There's a difference between something being rare and you needing it and not getting it, and something being rare and you not needing it, but it being really fun to have and show off. There's no negativity in the latter, and there's a lot in the former. So if you're chasing that unicorn, that Star Metal Kukri your entire season, that is so frustrating. But on the flip side, if there's some item that's not a thing that you need, but man, it's cool and you really want it, this is the drive that has caused people to go and run Ice Crown Citadel in World of Warcraft week in, week out for the past 6 years. Because they want that invincible mount. That's fun to me. Needing a furnace and not being able to find one, that's not fun. But finding a super rare, wing transmog, that is super fun.
Okay, do we have those in Diablo 3, or are they just a bunch of stupid new clubs that no one cares about? Are you happy with the new transmogs? Will they affect your gameplay?
The ones that I've seen, like the images are nice. They won't affect gameplay so much, but I like the little stuff they're cooking up. I mean, there's a really nice pair of angel wings, the old feather kind of traditional looking ones. I like those. But I mean, the only thing that they had, the only gateway they had up until now to hold those back from players was, very time consuming or difficult achievements. And that's not a thing anymore. Well, it still is, but my point is now there's something else that they can do. You can just play the game, and there's a chance you'll find something neat, and that's great.
Yeah, and I think again that from somebody who did play World of Warcraft, that's a lot of the reason why you went out and fought old content and did stuff like that was to get these cosmetic items and these little. Even if you didn't necessarily use it or it doesn't change your gameplay, it was something else to have, something else for the Diablo fan to collect, something else for you to show off to your friends or whatever. I don't know. I think it's cool, and I am going to get mostly the wings just because, getting the wings from the set dungeons is bullshit. So, yeah, I'd rather have another option for a cool wing set.
Yeah.
I asked a couple of podcasts ago if people... they've been selling these really cool wings and pets and stuff. via, you buy the collector's edition of Overwatch or Hearthwatch or WoW Watch or whatever, and you get like special, collector's wings and stuff. And there were plenty of people, including podcast guests, who were spending $40, $60, $80 on games they don't even care about just to get these Diablo 2 cosmetic items. And now suddenly you can find tons of stuff just as good or better in Diablo 3 without like paying any extra money. Does this like make you pissed off that you dropped $80 on like Warcraft 3 collectors whatever?
Wow, Flux, you have it completely backwards. Now I know that you're not into this stuff, so it doesn't really compute in the way that it does for someone who is interested in it. But it's not like, oh, I found a cool looking hat. I'm good on cool hats forever now. The need for hats is eternal. Like, you need more hats.
You need all the different hats that match.
You need all the different hats. Yeah.
You just stack the hats up on top of other hats.
The one problem I will say, though, the transmog, though, I do like the transmogs because it changes. Like, I always build a transmog around the new season transmog because everything that... I mean, okay, every way that I want my wizard to look right now, she can look right now. So when the new thing comes out, I will try to make that... Like... With the new set, with the Wizard, the new season, like I built a transmog around the Unstable Scepter and the Etched Sigil because they look badass. They look super badass together. So I wanted to build a set around it. Like I'll do the same thing next season with whatever the new is,
Yeah, and I mean, I think there are people out there who like they'll see a thing and they'll just want that thing, and they'll go track it down and they'll get it. But the folks who we're talking about obviously are a special case. But I would also argue that in general, like, the cosmetic rewards are a constant reward to your average player. I mean, even if they get one thing that's really cool, that doesn't mean that they're going to stop. Like they'll keep playing. Maybe it's not a priority for them, but eventually they'll end up with some other stuff, and that'll make them happy. And that's good. That's a good thing. It doesn't have to be an obsession for that reward system to be effective.
I've made this analogy in the past, and it fell flat, and it probably will again, but it amuses me that people who are so obsessed with like all these cosmetic items and stuff, you go to BlizzCon, and 95% of people there are wearing jeans and a black T-shirt. It's like you'll spend 1,000 hours and all this money in the game to get like a special, like, double-sized shoulder pads for your paladin or whatever. But like in real life, it's like, yeah, I just wear jeans and a black T-shirt.
Oh yeah, no,
and I'm
the same. I have one pair. That guy. Yeah, I'm that guy.
But you look awesome in the game, though, right?
Fuck yeah, I do. I'm not a goddamn wizard in real life.
Yeah, listen, man, I can't wear those pauldrons of annihilation the way that the wizard can wear them. Like especially if you're talking about like a lady wizard, like there's not a chance. I'm not gonna look.
I ain't never gonna be that pretty, Flux.
Maybe you would. Maybe you should try and find out.
Maybe I should. Maybe I'll look into that.
I'm sure cosplay ties in here somewhere in some sort of weird joke, but.
Somewhere.
Meanwhile, I have like 25 really nice dress shirts, so maybe I'm just on the opposite. I just transmog in real life, apparently.
Are you just...
Especially it costs more money in real life. You can't just go find them in the wild, alas.
And if I
it wouldn't look so nice.
If I get out to BlizzCon this year, I'm gonna be the one guy who rolls up in a tux. Like I'm just gonna get a tux rental. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna look so sharp.
Hell yeah, no,
unless,
dude,
of course, there's
if that happens, I'll do
costumes in Overwatch. Maybe a character in Overwatch has a tux as one of their alternate costumes, in which case you'll just be cosplay.
You're probably right. They'll probably sabotage me. It'll just be
sexy cosplay.
All of a sudden, I'll be, I don't know, Tuxedo Arthas. People are like, man, your Tuxedo Arthas transmog sucks. You don't even have the white hair. Go home, scrub. No.
The giant sword.
Yeah.
Okay, so last topic, we've kind of been hinting at all along here, but obviously, the joke is last one off the D3 team turn out the light, and lots of the people who have been, the best known, we recently had Don Vu was on a couple of those Stream Your Way Thursday things talking about the game, and obviously John Yang has been like probably, if not the best, certainly he or Wyatt has been the most speaking in public of late in the last maybe 2 years. He did a lot of the item stuff, he was proudly announced. Obviously, there's a Yang's recurve bow that makes the multi-shot build work for Demon Hunters. And he was the one who designed the new Demon Hunter Shadow Power set and lots of other items as well. And they have both gone off to work on legendary items. Well, John at least tweeted and said he's working on legendary items in the new WoW and probably future WoW stuff. And Leonard Boyarsky left the company, and John Yang and Don Vu is gone, and I'm sure other people have gone as well. We just don't know about them publicly. But it does seem like pretty clearly they're scaling down the D3 team, and they're working on other projects that are still needing new stuff, which makes it seem like we're not going to get any more big new stuff in D3 anytime soon, unless maybe they have other new devs who are handling that. And it may be a coincidence that this patch is the first patch, in the last 5 patches that doesn't have a ton of new builds and new gear. So, and as I posted in the news post, there are currently 5 job openings listed in the Diablo section on Blizzard's website, and 3 of them are senior artists for unannounced project. And there are people in the comments who are saying this doesn't mean there's Diablo 4. It could mean anything. Maybe they're doing new art. As far as I know, people don't usually do an entirely new art direction team for an expansion pack. That's like a new game is what you do new art teams for.
Yeah.
And if you're an expansion pack, you need all your item designers working their little asses off to make lots of really cool items. So it seems pretty clear to me that we have no hope anymore of another Diablo 3 expansion, and that they're just kind of maintaining it in patches and seasons, and they're working on Diablo 4 or some other Diablo project. That's not maybe Diablo 4. Maybe it's Diablo Online. Okay, not really likely. But
Diablo Racing.
What do you guys think about these team changes?
I think there's a couple things you have to keep in mind off the bat before we start talking about this. And the first is, a lot of the time when there's team changes at Blizzard, just like a lot of the time when there's anything at Blizzard, the initial response and the immediate response is, oh, well, they're killing Diablo 3. Look at them kill Diablo 3. I want to point out that the folks who make the game, if this is truly a game where they're moving into a slower development cycle for it, i.e. just let's do some tuning patches and that kind of thing and keep seasons going, it may not necessarily be some corporate person at Blizzard's decision. It may be that these guys are looking at the road ahead, like, okay, well, I'm a big head honcho on the Diablo team, but there's nothing going on for me here. I really want to work on something else, and I would not be shocked to find out that the transfers and all that kind of stuff were at least in part motivated by the people who were moved. So bear that in mind to start with. So the other thing is, I think it may be time to admit that we're seeing kind of the end of the Diablo cycle, Diablo 3 cycle as a game. We're seeing them wind it down into a game that people who really love it continue to enjoy, but not something that is an active focus for the company, and that's fine. Am I a little bummed about it? Sure. But let's be clear here. The amount of content that we've gotten post the Reapers launch, in the last 2 years since that expansion came out, has been way more than we should have been able to expect, based on the industry. So while I tend to be an eternal optimist, this will probably be one of the only times you'll hear me say, I think Diablo 3 is no longer going to be a game that they're actively developing, at least not in a major way in terms of new content, new assets, all that kind of stuff. But the other part of me is going to say to you that it's fine. We will get more Diablo. The game that you love is still here. You can still play it. Just get your fill of it, enjoy it for as long as you can, come back to it if you take a break, that kind of stuff. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think that, I think you're pretty much right on with that. It's hard to not take the announcement of those guys, especially like Don Vu and John Yang, who've been such a big part of the community, the community outreach, just talking with fans and reacting to them on Twitter, and such a big part of the integral changes that have happened in the game, that it's hard to see them go, because they're the dudes, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of the world, and it doesn't mean that there's not something coming for us. It's just that it's pretty much all signs are leading to Diablo 3's development cycle is coming to an end, and they're looking towards the next step, hopefully. Right.
Yeah, can I hit you with a ray of sunshine, though? Here's my ray of sunshine.
Not on this podcast, dude.
Wrong podcast, bro.
Sorry, I realized we don't do rainbows here. It's a Diablo show. All right. Yep. Here's my ray of, angelic torrent, something. Keep in mind that, one, these guys are not leaving Blizzard with one notable exception. They are still at Blizz. So if you liked the work that they did, this does not necessarily mean that they're no longer going to be working on a Diablo game forever. And two, the the cycle of game development, Flux is right, usually starts with asset creation, and then they get into deep mechanics later on. Pay attention to...
Unfortunately, later on may sometimes mean like 6 months after launch.
Well, yeah, that might be the case. But so I forget. I'm bad with names. Who was it who moved to the Legion?
Jay Wilson.
Legendary Weapons.
It's always Jay Wilson.
Right. So one of the developers moved over to Legendary Weapons in Legion.
That's John Yang.
John Yang. That's it. How long do you think he's going to be working on that? Because
Well,
Legendary,
for a few months already,
if you know anything about WoW, what they've talked about for Legendary Weapons thus far. These are unlikely to be a permanent fixture of the game. These are likely to be an expansion feature, and then they will work up something else for the next expansion, which they will be working on very shortly because that game is going to be out in a very brief period of time. So it's not like they moved him over and he's now the head of raids over at World of Warcraft, a position that would be, for all intents and purposes, semi-permanent unless you decided to leave. So it may just be that they're shifting people around, keeping them busy, and when they are needed, 6 months from now, after some of the sizzle images and all that kind of promotional stuff for, say, Diablo 4 is created, they'll bring them back over to start working on mechanics. It could be as simple as that.
It's fun to pretend.
It is.
Yeah, it's nice to believe.
Do you have any counter to that, Nerd Words, or do you agree? Is he correct?
I don't think so, because I feel like if they're going to move them from one team to the other, like they're just going to. I don't know why you would mismatch your resources like that, but I mean, for somebody who runs a team of people, like I don't know how that would be useful at all. But I can see where you could say that. I just feel like, and you're right, he's not going to be on the WoW team forever, and he may come back to the Diablo team eventually. But I don't think that's what is in mind right now. Like, when you walk into an office to get a job change or a transfer, they don't go, okay, man, so we're going to move you over here real quick to do this job, and then when this job needs you again, we're going to bring you right back to do the same thing you were doing. Typically, that doesn't work that way. But, I mean, who knows, really, who knows? And it's nice to hope. It's nice to have that feeling, so maybe so. But either way, John Yang and Don Vu and the guys that have left the team, they did really great things for the game, and they put it in a really good spot. And by no means should Diablo define their entire careers. So obviously they've got to move on at some point. It's just sad to see them go. That's all.
Right. Yeah, and you might be right that it's permanent, but my only reply point to that would be that hey, this is Blizzard. They're not an ordinary company, and we already know that they do this on a regular basis. They are known for shifting people between departments as is needed. So, there's a lot of incestuous stuff happening between, teams 1 through 5 up there at Blizzard HQ in Irvine.
You said that Diablo 3 shouldn't define their entire careers. Do you know whose career should be entirely defined by Diablo 3?
I could take a guess.
Is the last name one that Tom Hanks used for volleyball in a certain film?
Does it start with a W and end with a Wilson?
Does it rhyme with
Pilsen?
Pilsen? Pilsen? Doesn't rhyme with anything, does it? It's like orange. It rhymes with anything.
Oh, that poor guy.
So, we've obviously been, forever saying, are we going to get Diablo 3 expansion soon? Is it going to be soon? Soon? Probably soon? Maybe soon? And I don't think we're going to get it now, it doesn't look like, and who knows when Diablo 4 is coming out, but as you'll recall, Blizzard used to announce every game like 5 years before it was released, and that happened with Diablo 2, and obviously Diablo 3 was ridiculously far ahead. Yeah. And they've gotten better about that. Now they hung on to Overwatch forever. They repurposed Titan into Overwatch, and didn't even mention Titan was canceled until like a year later. And now here comes Overwatch, like damn near ready to be launched. Not that long after the announcement. Yeah, Hearthstone didn't have some ridiculously long build-up, etc. And other, StarCraft 2, they didn't announce it 5 years in advance. So it seems like, if at some point in the future they do announce Diablo 4, it's probably not going to be like 2008 to 2013 again, right?
Sure.
Hopefully.
Sure, and if they're already developing art for it, I think that they've got a better handle on game development now than they did, in the early days of D3, because those were completely different Blizzards. I mean, the Blizzard that had announced Diablo 3, they didn't put out games every couple years like this one does. So I think they've really kind of figured that out, and it may just be that they had hired some very smart people to do project management specifically, kind of stuff to set them up and say, hey, all right, you need to have something that you're going to be releasing on this kind of schedule, whatever the case. That's a completely different company, so I would argue that our odds are very good if they want to keep going at the pace that they're going, that Diablo is probably on their chopping block, because it's a major property that they had a very successful game release for a number of years back, 4 years back, that is ready for something new, and they may as well create something for it. I think it's probably, obviously, it's a foregone conclusion that they make something else in that universe, unless, a warhead hits the company and it's just wiped off the face of the map. But I think we'll probably see it sooner rather than later.
Talk about fun to pretend, huh?
I mean, Diablo was such a wild success on both console and on PC that it's hard to see them not, So it's just, I'm hoping, of course, at the same time, though, Diablo 2 was wildly successful as well. So I guess we'll see. Well,
for the time, too, you got to keep that in mind, that those were different. They're different markets, too. I mean, there's probably less monetary incentive back in the day when they were making D2 than there was after the release of D3.
You said monetary incentive?
Yeah, I did. Is it time for shots?
I've been doing them all along, haven't you guys?
Yeah,
I've been drinking beer.
Close enough. You gotta wash down that taco salad with something. like Chef's dad. Chef's dad likes taco salad too.
Man, taco salad and beer. It is correct. It is the right choice.
That is the right choice, yes.
Okay, so we have a new season coming up in like 2 weeks. We're not going to get into that now. We're already over our time limit. Any final thoughts, guys? I mean, you seem to... I'm guessing that your check is not going to clear this week, Nerdwords, because obviously it's all been sent to Tyr, because he's been like best case scenario for the last 45 minutes.
I've been best case scenario since I was on this podcast. Like, if ever there was a case to be made that there's been an inside man, like a mole that Diablo has, it's probably me.
That's probably true. That's probably. I'm usually pretty the same way. I don't feel like I'm negative on it at all, though. I feel like cynical Diablo fan realistic expectations while trying to remain optimistic. I want this to mean positive things, and the fact that they do have job listings for hirings for a Diablo project is promising. That said, do we wait a year? Do we wait 6 months? Do we wait 5 years? Who knows? That's where I need to be proved wrong before I will, because I haven't been yet, but we've only got the Diablo 2 to Diablo 3 span really to blame for that, so...
Well, and let's hope there being a BlizzCon this year means that they have something to talk about.
BlizzCon this year is going to be Overwatch. I mean, let's be real.
Well, I mean, at that time, the game will already have been out for.
And they'll be right at about the 6 month mark,
5
which
months.
is right about the time to start announcing
5,
DLC.
6.
Yeah, perfect time.
I mean,
DLC.
I guess they could do that, but typically the big headliners for BlizzCon have been. Not DLC, but actual new games or expansion. Right, yeah, good point on that.
The point is never Diablo. That's my point.
Never Diablo. Maybe we're rife for it. But no, I would just say that I don't know in the history of BlizzCons that I've ever seen them have two kind of slow major opening announcements in a row. Usually if they have a slow year, they'll announce something big the next year, or, in one case, they canceled it for that year. So I'm hoping that holds true, and that means that, because this past year, while it was a ton of fun, and they released kind of little stuff for each major IP, it wasn't a really big, exciting year in terms of new surprise announcements. So I'm hoping that means that they've got something ready for this year, and they chose to let it run for a good reason.
In case anybody missed the last time I talked about how the Mr. Best Case Scenario here, you wanted to make sure you cemented your title, right?
Yeah, right.
There you go.
I did it.
Okay, so any final thoughts, Nerdwords, that are not entirely positive, or even if they are?
Final thoughts. I'm excited for the new season. I'm still doing my rush. I'm still excited. I know there's not new sets, but that doesn't really wane me at all. And the band waves really, I'm hoping affect that outlook, or at least affect the amount of botters and how rampant it is. I think that they've made some really positive steps for the game recently, and I really I'm trying to focus on that going forward and not focusing on really great people leaving the team.
That was also best case scenario, it seems like.
I mean, I try to remain positive, bruh.
Listen, man, we're agents of change in the world around us. You got to keep it positive.
Yeah, the world's a changing, son.
Exactly. Okay, the vote's 2-1. You've been listening to the Diablo 3 podcast. We are online at DiabloI.net, and thanks for your time, guys. And hopefully you will enjoy not playing for the next 11 days until the new season starts, and then you can zoom.
Whee!
In addition to zooming, you can also...
Moo.
Moo.
Moo. Moo. Moo. Moo. Moo. Moo.